We on? We're on. Let's do it. John 18. I don't like this one. This is where stuff starts getting real sad. But we got to press on. John 18. This is it. Things are turning the corner now. We just had a beautiful, beautiful prayer to end the end of the niceties. And this nice time that Jesus is having with his friends before they're separated from him for a little bit. And this very dark, the darkest of times is about to beset mankind. Here we go. John 18. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the ravine of the Kidron, where there was a garden, and he entered with his disciples. Now Judas also, who was betraying him, knew this place, for Jesus had often met there with his disciples. Judas then, having received the Roman cohort and the officers and the chief priests and the Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus, knowing all things that were coming upon him, went forth, said to them, "Whom do you seek?" And they answered him, "Jesus, the Nazarene." And he said to them, "I am he." And Judas also, who was betraying him, was standing with them. So when he said to them, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Therefore he began asking, "Whom do you seek?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus answered, "I told you, I am he. So if you seek me, let these go their way." To fulfill the words which he spoken, of those of whom you have given me, I lost not one. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's slave and cut off his right ear. And the slave's name was Malchus. So Jesus said to Peter, "Put the sword into the sheath. The cup which the Father has given me, shall I not drink it?" So the Roman cohort and the commander of the Jews arrested and bound him and led him to Annas first, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was the high priest. Now, Caiaphas was the one who advised the Jews that it was expedient for one man to die on behalf of the people. Simon Peter was following Jesus, and so was another disciple. Now, that disciple was known to the high priest, and Jesus entered the court of the high priest, but Peter was standing at the door outside. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the doorkeeper and brought Peter in. Then a slave girl who kept the door said to Peter, "You are not also one of this man's disciples, are you?" And he said, "I am not." Now the slaves and the officers were standing there, having made a charcoal fire, for it was cold, and they were warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teachings. Jesus answered him, "I have spoken openly to the world. I always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all the Jews come together, and I spoke nothing in secret. Why do you question me? Question those who have heard what I spoke to them. They know what I said." So Jesus is saying, don't take my word for it. There's witnesses. There's witnesses. Let me not bear witness against myself. When he said this, one of the officers standing nearby struck Jesus, saying, "Is that the way you answer the high priest?" Jesus said, "If I have spoken wrongly, testify of the wrong. But if rightly, why do you strike me?" So Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, "You are not also one of his disciples, are you?" And he denied it, said, "I am not." One of the slaves of the high priest, being a relative of the one whose ear Peter cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" And Peter denied it again. And immediately the rooster crowed. Just the night before. Actually, just earlier that night, Jesus said, "You will deny me 3 times before the rooster crows." And there it happened. That's awful. Let's move on. Then they led Jesus to Caiaphas into the praetorium. And it was early, and they said them, and they themselves did not enter the praetorium, I don't know how to pronounce that word, so that they would not be defiled, but might eat the Passover. Therefore, Pilate went out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" And they answered and said, if this man were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him to you. So Pilate said, "Take him yourself and judge him according to your law." And the Jews said to him, "We are not permitted to put anyone to death," to fulfill the word of Jesus which he spoke, signifying by what kind of death he was about to die. Therefore Pilate entered again into the praetorium and summoned Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus answered, "Are you saying this of your own initiative, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate answered, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your nation and chief priests delivered you to me. So what have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would be fighting, so that I would not be handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not of this realm." Therefore Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" And Jesus answered, "You say correctly. I am a king. For this I have been born, and for this I have come into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is the truth?" What is truth? And when he said this, he went out again to the Jews and said to them, "I find no guilt in him. But you have a custom that I release someone for you at Passover. Do you wish that I release for you the king of the Jews?" So they cried out again, "No, not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a robber. So we got a lot here, right? So we have Jesus being questioned, all right? We got Judas betraying him. We have Peter denying him. And all the disciples peeled off, all the rest of them. There was just the two that went to the temple, and the rest of them all peeled off. Judas obviously, did his thing. And you have this interesting, they know what they're trying to do, but they have these legal things. This is what's so crazy about the way that legalistic and these works-based salvation religions work. You're committing murder against the Son of God, but you're worried about your feast and what you can do before your feast. You're about to murder the Savior of the world, the name above all names. You strike him. But the custom is more important. The positions of power are more important. So then they turn him over to Pilate. And Pilate's like, "What's wrong with you guys, man? I don't see anything wrong with this guy. He says he's a king, but he's not. He's not the king of the Jews, right? He's not saying that he is. He's got some other realm kingdom. He's some woo-woo guy. He doesn't think anything of it. He goes, okay, what? You can't be a king. You can't claim to be a king or something. You're just a crazy guy. But you're not a bad guy. You're just a crazy guy. You're just a crazy guy. Let me release him to you." The people say, no. The guy who has eradicated sickness, the guy who's healing everybody, the guy who's bringing people back to life doesn't even have to be in the same area as them. just can heal them across the distance. The guy that's been teaching us, the guy who we just a couple days ago laid palm fronds on the road, and he rode in and we said, Hosanna. Kill that guy. Kill him. But you got to do it because we have a custom that we have to uphold. We don't want our hands getting dirty. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And in John, you don't really get the full picture of this interaction with Peter, neither in the garden nor his denial of him. Like, so when Peter cuts this guy's ear off, I think it's in Matthew, maybe Luke, I don't know. But when he cuts the dude's ear off, Jesus puts his ear back on, heals him right there, and they still take him. He's doing miracles up to the very end, healing people. And dude, if I got my ear chopped off and you put my ear back on, hey, everybody. Hey, stop everything. Dude just put my ear back on. Can't kill him. What are we doing? Did we not all see my ear get put back on? No, not this guy. Not these folks. And then you get Peter, who insisted that wherever you go, I go. Whatever fate befalls you, befalls me. I'll die with you. And here he is going, I don't know him. I don't know him. Man, the feeling that he must have felt, knowing that his best friend is going to die alone. And then to have denied him 3 times. Another gospel says that when he denied him that 3rd time, he caught a glance of him. He looked over at him, and Jesus was looking at him. Like he said, I don't know him, and I think it's Matthew. It could be Luke. They're a little bit more descriptive. Mark's very brief, but knowing, I don't know. We'll read it eventually, but it says when he denied him the 3rd time, he cursed, like adamantly, put a couple swear words in there. I don't, just whatever, And then when he did that, and the rooster crows, and he looks over to where Jesus is, and Jesus is looking at him like, told you. But I think the look was comforting, because Jesus knew what was going to happen to Judas. He knew what Judas was going to do. But Peter, no, not Peter. But you get these 2 guys that betray Jesus. And Jesus calls it back to back. The one who I dips. Whatever you do it quickly. And then you're going to deny me 3 times. I mean, these are back to back. And then they happen back to back. And one kills himself, and the other probably wants to. That feeling of like finality, like, ooh, I can't go back on this now. Like, I just did that thing, and there's no going back. I just denied my friend. I just betrayed my friend. I am a coward. And knowing that Jesus was aware of what he did, that's, you know, that's awful. It's a very dark time in this part of the story. It's my least favorite part. I don't like this part. It's very sad. It's like all of these friends that are just, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the actual crucifixion in the next one. Dang, dude. I'll look sad. Read your Bible. Thanks for watching.